This week's episode is brought to you in part by MPix, delivering the highest quality prints and products from your photos. Shoot today, upload tonight, we ship tomorrow.
On this week's show, I have a tutorial that is one of the most requested Photoshop techniques for my entire blog, plus a really cool quick tip.
I've got some really cool presets to share with you inside of Lightroom.
And I have an interview with photo retoucher David Cuerdon, and it all starts right now.
Welcome to PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by the National Association of Photoshop Professionals. And now, here are your hosts, the Photoshop guys.
Well, hi everybody, welcome to another Punxsutawney episode. There's a word.
That's great to say.
You guys came up with that when I wasn't here.
It was brilliant. Punxsutawney episode of PhotoshopUser TV, brought to you by PhotoshopUser magazine. The magazine where you can find people like my guests writing in every episode. They're not my guests, they're my hosts, my co-hosts.
Thanks for having
my
us
buddies.
here.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Yeah,
So I'd like to introduce them to you, now if I may, to my left, from a foreign land, a foreign man, Dave Cross.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Dave.
Oh, man, you got hey,
I know.
everybody?
Hey.
Wow.
Well, I'm so glad to be here, Scott. Thank you for inviting me to be on the show.
That's great, Dave. We also have with us Matt Kloskowski. This is Matt.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thanks to be here. It's really great to be here on this fine, fine Florida day of...
Whew, okay. Hey, wow, we
Off
are...
to a roaring start already.
We're back. We're the three of us reunited.
Yeah, we're clicking like...
Form of?
It's like we've never left.
Yeah, okay, so I got a quick story before we start. For those of you who read my blog, I was shooting the NFC Championship game, the NFL football game, and I was on the sideline at the goal line, and Aaron Rodgers, quarterback of the Packers, dives into the end zone for a touchdown with the ball out, and I'm there, and I see him coming, and so I have my monopod of my 400 millimeter, I switch hands, I grab my second body, I start shooting, and I think he's not going to make it all the way to me, and he keeps sliding, he's not going to make it here, bam!
Next thing you know.
He actually broke my monopod, my beautiful Gitzo monopod, in two. It's horribly disfigured. And we actually put this tape around here so people that go to my blog would know it was me. It's got a little fire. Brad put this on here. So we did a whole little funny thing about trying to find me on the sidelines. But anyway, it was broken. So go to my blog and you can read the whole story, but it's been all over the place. It's wound up on Sports Illustrated and Gizmodo and a million other places. But what was cool was when I got back to Florida a couple days later, the folks that really write stuff had sent me a brand new, brand spanking new monopod right here. And it's super mega heavy.
Yeah,
it's carbon fiber.
breaking.
This one, this one, I don't know, I think this would hold Aaron Rodgers.
Hey,
However,
he'd probably break his leg on it.
hey, also, but it was kind of cool. So the Friday after I broke the monopod, I was actually speaking at the National Sales Conference for Manfrotto Distribution, and I was showing them how I use their gear. You know, I was showing mostly lighting and stuff. But my monopod was a Gitzo, and they're the people that distribute Gitzo, and they presented me with it. So although my original blog post about the whole thing was called "Aaron Rodgers, You Owe Me a Monopod," I now have two kick butt monopods, a brand new Gitzo. Hey, they even sent me the upgraded one that's
One
like
for
really
Aaron
heavy duty.
Rodgers, you'd still be
thank you to
using,
Really Write Stuff. Thank you to Gitzo.
Funny one with the yellow tape.
With the yellow tape, and that one goes in the Hall of Shame.
This is nice.
Isn't that nice? That thing's like a rock.
Yeah,
like
it is.
a rock. Anyway, I have a tutorial for you to start off with. Is it okay?
You may. Please.
Thank you. Now, this is going to be, it is probably the most requested thing on my blog, because when I show images a lot of times on my blog, I put them in a poster layout. And every single time I did that, I go, how do you do that poster layout? How do you do this thing? And I thought, well, you know what? It would be kind of cool if I did it here, because then I would post the video on my blog. And everybody that said, hey, how do you do that poster layout? I go, I did it in a PhotoshopUser TV episode. It's right here. So I'd like to show it for you now.
That's Scott. He's always thinking. That's good.
Okay. Here we go. So here's one of the shots from the game. It's Brian Urlacher's coming out of the tunnel there. All right, so there's stuff all over my keyboard.
It's monopod.
Oh, it's
remnants.
Oh, it is. It's from the inside of the
broken
thing.
monopod remnants.
Okay. All right. So here's the trick. So you start by opening up an image. You're going to add canvas size. So you go image, canvas size, and you're going to add maybe say 4 inches all the way around. So you just type in 4 inches, 4 inches. And then you make sure the relative checkbox is turned on. All right. So you click OK, and it adds space. You can see it's added some space all the way around. But you need to be able to put your name and things like that. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to add a little space below it. So you're going to go back to canvas size again. And this grid shows where you're going to add space. Click on the top center. And now you're adding, if you add height, it's going to add below it. You're going to add another anywhere from 2 to 4 inches. We'll add 4 inches. And it gives kind of a big, long, okay, that's maybe a little bit much. How about
2?
2. Thank you, Matt. May I call you Matt?
You may.
Ooh. Dave was ready to go.
Anchor.
Don't do it. You can click the anchor. Okay, there it is. So now, once that's done, you're just going to get the type tool, which is right here. And within 15 minutes, it goes active.
Did you ever notice that? It's the first time you use it,
you know, it's a little slow.
It falls asleep, and then it eventually comes to.
And we're going to use the font Gill Sans Light, which is the one that I like to use. I like to use Gill Sans Light. And we're going to do it in all caps, and we're going to write Kelby Photography. Of course, you can't see it for some reason, probably because I chose a bad font color. There we go. All right. So it's Kelby Photography, and you're going to hit the little center button so it centers. Now, of course, it doesn't really center on the screen. To perfectly center on the screen, you will click on the background layer, hold the Command key on Mac or the Control key on PC, and click on the type layer. Then you're going to go up here, way up here, and there's a little centering thing. Technical term.
That is it.
The Align Horizontal Centers button.
I like centering thing better.
Centering thing. Click it, and now it's perfectly centered. But it looks kind of stupid, so here's how I make it look better. Double-click right on the letter T, and it highlights, that's a shortcut, highlights the type. Hold the Option key on Mac or the Alt key if you're on PC, and then hit the right arrow key, and it puts space between the letters, like this. There we go. And I'll make the type a little bit bigger. So it was, what, 28? We'll make it maybe 30. It needs to be just a little bit bigger. All right? Now, I also will generally lower the opacity of that image right there down to maybe 80%. It's not black. Then we are going to add our signature. I just basically scanned my signature. That's why. What the difference between like scanning it and doing it with a Wacom pen is, the Wacom pen is perfect.
Perfect.
This is a little jaggy. I just did it with it looks a little more real. And then you drag it over, and I would make it kind of like this. No, kidding. I make it real small down in the corner. And then I also, so it looks more like it's really signed, I lower the opacity a little bit of that. And lastly, I use the same font, so I'll go grab the Kelby Photography layer, duplicate it by pressing Command J, and I take it up in this left corner. And here's where I usually will write, I'll double click and write what it was, or where it was.
Yeah, something about
so
the
you
photo.
might say, you know, Soldier Field, which is where it was, this was done, Soldier Field. Then I add Shift \\. So that gives you what's called a pipe. It's a little, just a bar, basically. And then I'll say when it was, which was January, I think it was 23rd, 2011. And then I'll say, I'll just put NFC Championship game. All right, it's a little large. So what we're going to do is I'll change it to left justified and then just slide the size down, something small, and stick it. Well, actually, it would look good right under there.
It's not bad there either.
I don't have that much space between it. I usually stick it right over there in the corner, but that actually looks okay. All right, but anyway, that is the technique for building the.
So go back to the regular layers palette real quick. I just want to throw something on there. If you're ever displaying this on the web, a lot of times you'll see these images, or people will do something on a white web page. And if you save this as a JPEG,
right,
it just kind of blends into the whole page. So if you do select all.
Right. So I'll go ahead and do that, because when I put these on my blog, it does. I have a white background on my page, and it just floats there. So what I do with these is I will add an additional layer on top, a blank layer, select all, and then go stroke. I'll put a 1 pixel stroke on it, but then I lower the opacity of that layer to 50%. So what that does is when you put this now on a white background, well, I'll do that for you here. Let me just flatten the whole thing. Let me open up another document. I'm trying to make this the world's longest tutorial, and I think I'm very close. And I have another special bonus I haven't done yet, so it's going to get crazy. So we'll open up another document, and I'll show you what I mean. Let's make this one smaller. Don't even pay attention to all this Forget that stuff.
It's not really here.
It's not really here. So let's say I dragged it onto this background. See how you can see it has a border?
Yep.
It just has to be a little thin border, just so you can kind of see where it's at. But that's the idea, is like, you know, you can.
Sweet.
Sweet. Thank you for that little addition.
Hey,
Matt.
no problem.
Thank you for extending the length of my.
No problem. I'm now going to.
Do you have a quick tip on Lightroom presets?
I do have a quick tip on Lightroom presets. So
What luck?
I did a post on my blog, January 3rd, if you want to go back and read it. And it was I have to thank a gentleman named Ed Weaver. He's one of the blog readers, and he came up with a really clever way right in the beginning of the year to show off your photos inside of Lightroom with print templates using calendars. So if you read through, there's some presets.
Yeah, this is cool.
So there's some presets you can download the file, and when you download it, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see the preset files, and then you're just going to see the PSDs. You import the PSDs right into Lightroom just like they were normal photos, all right? And let's jump in here. So you can see I've imported these PSDs. If I go to the develop module, you'll see it's a regular, it's a Photoshop PSD file, but it's an actual calendar that one, there we go. So it appears on screen. So you get those into Lightroom just like they were any other photo. And then you go to your print module, and if you go up here in the template browser, I created a new folder, and in that new folder, you just right-click and choose Import, and you import those templates that came with it. So now you got the PSDs in there.
Yeah,
right?
now you have.
That was part of it, and then you have the calendar presets and the templates.
And you load those
then
presets right there in the template.
right inside there, you just click on one of them, and now it uses Lightroom's custom package feature. So you'll drag a photo up here into the top, and then you just start to drag all the calendars into each month there, and you can print it. So I'm not going to do all 12 because you get the idea. Right. But just start to fill them up there. And he's got a couple. He's got, if you want to do just a 1 month preset where you drag a photo up top, here, I'll even do it for you. And then you drag a calendar into the bottom, or you can do the whole year.
So you can have 1 year or by month. That's very cool.
Yeah, it's many thanks to Ed. I wrote in the beginning of the year, this is probably going to be the coolest preset that I'm able to put on the blog all year long. So.
And so you go to Photoshop? No, LightroomKillerTips.com.
Go to LightroomKillerTips.com, and the best way to do is just search, go back to January 3rd, and you'll find it.
Very nice. Hey, it is time to take a quick break. When we come back, we have an interview. David Cuerdon, who's an amazing retoucher, will be here. Dave Cross got to sit with him offset.
Actually on set.
On set, but later when we weren't around. Who knows what he really said. I know that money was exchanged. Anyway, and we have a whole lot more. I have another tip, but I want to show because I just do.
Tippy.
And it will be so short that it won't really matter that Matt extended my other one. We will be doing all of this in just a few moments. Let's leave with our very formal break time. All right, here we go. And we have a lot of exciting stuff, right, Dave?
That is correct. And it will happen right after these brief messages.
I can't wait.
It just fell apart with you.
Hi guys, welcome at Kelby Training. I'm Frank Doroff and today we're going to freeze motion. This is my model. Hi Dallas. Hi. And let's make a jump. 1, 2, 3. And if you want to know how to freeze action, you really have to watch this class. And we're not only freezing models like Dallas, no, we're going out to a BMX track.
Hey, I'm here with a very special guest in the studio. David Cuerdon is here. He is a photographer and a Photoshop instructor, teaches at Photoshop World, and also does some things with us here at Kelby Training. And you're in town to get away from the weather, I imagine,
exactly.
in part.
That's it.
That's really the only reason. No Photoshop, no tutorials,
Yeah,
just get somewhere warmer.
The rest of the country's covered in snow. And so I'm down here in sunny Florida.
There you go. Good plan. Now, the class you've done for us before on Kelby Training was on like a beauty retouching kind of a kit that included not just techniques, but some little goodies that they could...
brushes, actions, color swatches, custom shapes, all kinds of goodies that people can play with. So,
cool.
And actually, I'm doing the Photoshop CS5 version of it. And basically, everybody's going to get all the stuff they got in the previous version, plus a bunch more new things and some new techniques. And And hopefully everyone will like it.
Very cool. So you're going to share with us an example of the kind of thing you're going to do
Yep.
in that class?
One of the things I like to do is, and you know this, I like to make my own backgrounds. So I like to create backgrounds from scratch. I'll usually photograph subjects on very, very simple backgrounds, on white or on gray or sometimes on black. And then I create a background behind them in Photoshop. So this is a photo of the band Pyrofighter, and they asked me to do this photo of them, and they asked for kind of a high-tech grid behind them. So I'll just actually turn them off and let you see what the background looks like. Now, they were actually just photographed on gray, but this is the background that I came up with that I ended up putting on them. And I figured I would just do one little simple thing. I'll actually just turn the grid off. So that's the actual grid. Here, I'll turn them off too so you can see. And I'll turn the grid off and on. And hopefully people will be able to see that on their screens. I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see the grid. They actually asked for kind of a transparent looking grid, almost like a etched glass kind of effect. So that's what I had to go with. And I'll just show you real quickly how I produced this grid and made it kind of look high-tech etched glass kind of thing. So here, I'll turn off the layer that I had previously created. And I'm just going to make a new blank layer. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab the marquee tool, rectangular marquee tool. And what I'll do is I want to make it a specific size. So I'm going to set this to fixed size. And I'll make it a little bit bigger than what I have right here. I'm going to make it 100 pixels by 100 pixels. Okay, so then I just stamp a little grid right there. Now, I'm actually going to make this into a pattern. So to do that, I want to actually turn off all the other layers, make them invisible. And then on this layer, here, I'll zoom in a little bit so hopefully people can see. Then on this one, I'm going to go up to Edit, Stroke, and I'm going to stroke inside, make the color black, and 30 pixels is way too much. I'm just going to make it 5 and click OK. Now I'm going to go up to Edit and Define Pattern. Pattern 6, that's the perfect name for this.
Now, you deliberately turned off the other layers because you want the pattern to be transparent in the middle, right?
Exactly. If I had left on a color or something like that, if I'd left that background color on, the pattern would have that color in the middle. So, good question, Dave. You're good at this kind of stuff. So actually, I'm just going to just clear that out because I don't even need that any longer. It was the pattern that I needed. And let me just back out. And I'm going to go up to Edit, Fill, and under Contents, I'm going to just change this to Pattern. And actually, I think I just found the pattern I just created, or did it? You can see there, that's the one, Pattern 6. That was the one I made. And there you can see it just filled that now with the pattern. And now the little trick is to make it transparent, kind of look high-tech. I was trying to turn on my other layers, but that's okay. Let's at least turn on those layers, because I didn't want just a plain black grid. They didn't want just a plain black grid. Let me come in a little bit so we can see better. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a layer style, bevel and emboss. And I'm going to, let's see. To be honest, I can't remember exactly. I definitely want to do an inner bevel. Whenever I get into this dialog box, I always have to kind of just play around with it. I want to crank the depth way up, make it really noticeable. Something like that. And then the next thing I want to do is go down here, and I love to play around with these gloss contours. a lot of people get intimidated by them, but it's really simple. I mean, basically, when it's called a gloss contour, it just means how something would reflect light, basically. So by default, it's set to this one here, which is just a linear gradient. But I just click through them and see if there's something I like.
Well, I always encourage people to do that because you're still in preview inside the layer style. So if there's something you don't like, it's not like you're committing to anything anyway. So it's a good way to experiment, see what you're going to get.
And actually, I like that one kind of. That
cool.
gives kind of a cool effect. Now I'll just click OK. And then what I do is I go up, and up here at the top, it's different from opacity. I use fill. Fill, actually, what that does, it leaves your effects in place, but it just lowers the opacity of the actual pixels on the layer, whereas opacity would take everything down. I'm just going to drag that all the way to 0. And I'll just show the difference here real quick, because a lot of people don't realize there's a difference between opacity and fill. If I take opacity down, the whole layer, everything disappears. If I take just the fill part down, then the pixels that are on that layer become invisible, but the effects that were created are still there. So here, I'll just back out again and show you there's the grid, and I'll turn on a few other layers. I also added some lens flares, and then I'll add in the band. So, and actually that grid looks a little too bright right there, so I'd probably actually also lower the opacity a little bit to just make it a little...
It almost looks like a wire fence or something, and the way that it's that gloss contour added the little details like that. So.
And to be honest, every time I do things like this, I never do it exactly the same.
Well, I think that's part of the fun part of creating your own background is you might have an idea in mind, but then as you experiment, you see something different. You kind of go, that's kind of cool.
So yeah, you always discover something new each time.
Very cool. So this is just one of the many things I'm sure you'll be
I mean, the
doing
kit is actually mostly beauty retouching, but I thought I'd show you something.
Nice.
It's going to be in the kit. I walk through in detail how I do this whole shot.
Right.
But I thought something simple, just making a little grid background.
Cool. Now you're also going to be at Photoshop World?
Yep. I'm very excited about that. I'm teaching a class on how to fix common problems like getting rid of braces on teeth and glare in glasses and things like that, and also doing a Lightroom class where I teach people about the power of Lightroom presets. So
excellent, very good. Well, thanks very much for joining us.
Sure. I love being here.
All right, I have a little quick tip that I promised earlier, so I just want to show you. This is, again, based on my blog. If you haven't been to my blog, go to scottkelby.com, and there's my blog.
Good. Makes sense.
You've been awesome today. Okay.
I'm on.
Dude, you're on. You are so
You're like
on.
Ed McMahon with those comments there.
Yes.
Okay. You're right, sir. Okay. So I had somebody, I had done this fashion shoot over 2 days in New York, and I did a part 1 and a part 2. And somebody said, well, you know, you can see I was using V-flats to reflect. And they're like, how are you going to get rid of those V-flats? And I'm like, I was thinking of using Photoshop. No, I'll just show you the technique because it's so fast. Watch. Now, this is a CS5 only technique, but you just grab the lasso tool, which I happen to have right here. You'll say, I don't want this right here. Hit delete, and it brings up the fill. Make sure it says use content aware. Click OK. Okay, there's that. Then we'll go to this side and say, see this whole thing? I don't want this. Delete. Okay. done. So that's how I would get rid of them, just in case.
Hey, can I add on to that with the?
Yes.
If you add a layer and you put a stroke around the outside, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I thought you were really bringing something to the table.
No. I have nothing to bring to the table.
All right, it's contest time, but we have so many good prizes that we're kind of going to change things. So
Yes,
David,
we are.
you'll describe the
Well,
new...
what we realized is Matt and I talked about this a few shows ago, where we said maybe just have people add a comment instead of having to enter. But we know some people like the trivia part, so now it's just two different things. If you feel like you want to answer the trivia question, go for it. But to enter the contest, you just add a comment on the Photoshop user page.
But don't answer the question there.
Well, you
Just
can
add a
if you
comment.
want.
Yeah,
But I mean,
answer
you
the
don't
question,
have to.
but it won't help.
It's just comments. So obviously, the first person who comments is probably going to get the right answer. So that's not the contest. It's a random draw. The trivia part is just for fun.
Just for fun.
And this time around, we're going to have two really good prizes, actually. One is a Photoshop World Pass for Orlando.
Full conference pass.
And the other is this wonderful hood loop from Hoodman. Wonderful thing for viewing your LCD on the back of your camera.
Outdoors.
Do we have the on-one thing, too? We had an on-one thing.
Oh, that fell down to the bottom here. Let me just
Oh.
reach way down and grab
Oh,
this.
okay, sorry, we have another thing. So
Yes.
we have the entire perfect photo suite from on-one.
crap.
I know, it's a bunch of it's all of their like plugins and stuff. And so we'll pick 3 different winners. One person for the full conference pass, one person for the Hoodman loop, and one person for the in that order. And they'll be picked randomly. So all you do is, Matt, tell them what you do, because you know this so well.
Go to kelbytv.com/PhotoshopUserTV. Click on the show for today and just leave a comment. Say
Anything.
hi, say whatever you want to say any ideas for the show. Just leave a comment and you will be entered into the contest.
Yeah, say hey.
Now, if you want to do some trivia, here's a trivia question for you. And that is, where in Photoshop would you find an option called reverse? So that's just a little trivia just for fun.
Here's a hint.
Reverse.
It's next to drive and neutral. Okay, it's not really.
No, it's not.
I think we're done with the show. As good as it's been.
Yeah.
Wow, this has been a blisteringly good show. Cracking good.
Yeah.
Hey, we want to say hi to some of our friends over in the UK. Glenn and Dave and all
Hi,
the
Glenn and
guys
Dave.
over there. They're enjoying some of the most beautiful weather right now.
Yeah.
We just wanted to tell them hi and tell them we love them and miss them. And you know, Matt,
You know what we don't talk about enough?
I know.
I don't know where
Dave?
this is going.
Dave?
I don't know where this is going. I really
Love.
can't.
We don't talk about feelings. We don't talk about relationships. It's just Photoshop photography.
We don't
blah,
have enough
blah, blah,
emotion
blah,
on the
blah.
show.
We don't have enough emotion. Dave, cry. There you go. That was good. That was good. Dave used to be an actor in Canada on Channel 1. And sometimes he was on Channel 2. Hey, anyway, we've had a great show. Thanks so much for sticking with us. This was episode 256. There's been quite a few. You're probably thinking, I haven't seen all of them, but we have them all on the web. You can go watch them.
Unfortunately.
Make sure you go back and watch like episode 1. That was
Yeah.
that was a good one.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, feel the love. So on behalf of myself, an American born here, and another American born here, and a man stealing American jobs. Look how bad he feels. Look how bad he feels about it. For 8 years straight. I don't know if you really can be a Canadian after this amount of time. Do you eat at Five Guys Burgers?
Five Guys? No, I go to the Canadian version. It's 3.8 guys because of the exchange rate.
Oh, have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time around. I was going to say, if you go to the podcast, that's enough.